Hello world, welcome to United Cuisines, your show for international recipes. In this episode we will cruise over the Black Sea to Georgia and bake our own boat-shaped bread carrying a big load of cheese. Our Georgian friends refer to it as Adjaruli Khachapuri, and it's said to have been created by the wives of fishermen to honor their husband's profession. Moreover, wishing them good weather by topping the Khachapuri with an egg, the yolk representing the sun in this beautiful story. Not sure about you guys, but that looks pretty mouthwatering to me, so let's make some in this episode. Most of the ingredients you might find stocked in your pantry already, such as all-purpose flour, vegetable oil, dry yeast, some salt and sugar, as well as lukewarm water for your dough. The cheese load of our Khachapuri will consist of around 40% feta and moreover 60% mozzarella. Last but not least, we will need eggs and some butter. Make sure that all your toppings are at room temperature, and let's begin by kickstarting our dry yeast. Therefore, we pour 2/3 of a cup of water into our saucepan and warm it up slowly to 100 to 105 degrees Fahrenheit before adding the yeast and feeding it with some sugar. Stir well till the sugar dissolves and set aside for around 5 to 10 minutes. While you wait, sift 250 grams of all-purpose flour, which is approximately 2 cups, into a big enough bowl, form a crater in the middle and sprinkle the salt over the flour. Once the yeast is activated, which should be the case when bubbles start building on the surface, mix in 2 teaspoons of vegetable oil and pour it into the well in your bowl. Grab your dough whisk and start to incorporate more and more flour into the liquid till everything is well combined. The dough of traditional Khachapuri is made of these simple ingredients. If you want your bread to be richer, you could also replace half of the water with milk as well as add an egg. Poke, stretch and smash your dough with your whisk and perform some more stretch and fold by hand. In total, we manually knead our high hydration dough for around 7 minutes. If you are lucky enough to own a kneading machine, make sure to not overwork your dough. Grease your bowl with some olive oil, cover it and let your dough rest for around 75 minutes or till doubling in size. Great, now flour your hand and knock back the dough before placing it on your floured workspace and splitting it into 2 even pieces. Knead both of them shortly, form 2 nice balls, cover and set aside for a few minutes while we prepare our cheese filling. Therefore, grab the block of feta and squash it into your bowl. Preferably work with the same bowl which you use for preparing your dough, unless you like dishwashing, which I doubt you do. Next, pull the mozzarella into small pieces and unite both cheeses, mixing and firmly squeezing them. Please use low moisture mozzarella and also discard excess water that might be in the feta cheese's packaging. Otherwise, your Khachapuri boat bread could get a leak due to soaking water from inside and it would sink. Now that all parts necessary for creating our Khachapuri are standby, let's start preheating our conventional oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit and opening our dough. By the way, I hope you didn't forget to sprinkle some flour on your dough balls before covering them with plastic. As you can see, the dough is still very sticky. Therefore, during the whole process of opening, forming and filling our Khachapuri, we will work on a big enough parchment paper. Sprinkle some flour on the parchment paper as well as dough and start opening it by hand before switching to a roll, which should be well floured as well. Open the dough to a rectangular oval shape, divide your cheese mix into 4 equal portions and spread 1 portion of it along the long sides of your dough like so. Now roll the dough over the cheese, form a nice boat shape and properly seal its ends in order for the cheese to not run out when melting in the oven. Grab another portion of the cheese and spread it in the center of your Khachapuri. Great, that's pretty much it. Set aside and repeat the process. You might want to consider incorporating some parsley into 1 portion of your cheese, which we will use for the second Khachapuri's cheesy waltz. We like this version very much, by the way, so think about it and mix things up. Now to the most dangerous part of the recipe, transporting our Khachapuris on the very hot baking sheet, which you preheated in the oven too. For this, grab all the ends of the parchment paper and cautiously elevate your Khachapuri, which will be slightly folded in length. Don't worry though, it should perfectly open up again, since the sticky parts of the dough barely make contact. Bring along your second Khachapuri and cut off excess parts of the parchment paper before transferring your sheet on the lowest level in your oven and baking for 15 minutes. When the Khachapuris are nicely golden, we shortly get them out of the oven, form a small well in the cheesy middle and crush in an egg. Feel free to only add the yolk for a richer taste. Back onto the oven for 2 to 3 more minutes till the bread gets a nice crust and the yolk is still runny. And there you go, a fun to make and super delicious dish brought to us by our Georgian friends, Adjaruli Khachapuri. Its bread has a crunchy outside and fluffy, cheesy inside, topped up with delicious feta and mozzarella. Spread some butter on the crust if you like, definitely add half a tablespoon of it on top though and start enjoying your khachapuri. Imrielat miertvi.
Oh wow.
Make sure to join our community to see more delicious recipes from around the world and share your favorite cheese dish from your home country with us in the comments below.
Thank you, my friends from Georgia. This is delicious.
Thanks for watching, and until next time with another international recipe here at United Cuisines.